fam? What's up? Welcome back to the CEO Pulse podcast, where you get the real, the raw, and the mind of entrepreneurship. Let's talk about mindset. Mindset Mondays. I'm telling you, man, these things are turning into one of my favorite things to do every single week.
Absolutely.
Every single week. I like the awareness that the conversations alone bring, and of course it tees up the rest of the week, right? That mindset. I mean, it's kind of like a purge at the beginning of the week, and self accountability, because a lot of it we're coming from a space where we're living the actual stuff that we're talking about. So it's just really cool to put it out there and then realize what it is, what it looks like, help other people that might want to listen to it, might need to listen to it, and then just have an amazing week after that. So
yeah, well, for me, it's a great way to set the intention for the week
Yeah.
of who am I going to be, what am I going to practice,
Yeah.
right? Because if you don't have that intention, that focal point going through your week, then that means you're going to just be operating from how you've always operated,
Yeah.
which is memories of the past, and therefore your future will be predictable. So
or
it's
classical
ineffective.
conditioning, which ties right into the topic that we're going to hit today. But before I do that, I want to introduce my fantabulous co-host. Yeah, it's a thing.
Fantabulous?
Yes.
No, roll with it, man.
Yeah, my fantabulous co-host, Justin Thorstad. And the crowd goes wild. Did you see the dance?
Love it.
Yeah,
I
if you're
saw
listening
this,
this
yeah,
to
thank
on iTunes, you didn't see me dance, so you missed out on perhaps the best performance of your life. So, but yeah, let's talk about classical conditioning, and the topic for today actually is it's learned helplessness. We learn to think about failure, as we're not born thinking failure. Right? We're not born. We're born with with happiness and smile after that spank the doctor gives you. I mean, you become a baby and then you smile about everything. You smile about seeing the bottle coming at you. You smile about a kitten. You smile about seeing your parents in front of you, and you giggle just about life in general, right? And as we progress and we start adopting behaviors and learning different things, we start to adopt things like stress, like feelings of helplessness, and it almost becomes this learned habit.
100% it's learned.
I was dwelling on some emotions like that a couple of weeks back, and last week we talked about just kind of putting this out on the table. But learned helplessness, it's a very real thing, and it's interesting to see how we condition ourselves to put us in that dark space.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it goes back to that premise of the human development experience. Is it nature or nurture?
Yeah.
And I believe our nature is more childlike in regards to abundant joy, right?
Yeah.
Like to be depressed, anxious. These are all learned responses. That's through nurturing, conditioning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just as some people are conditioned for success and always move forward and have perseverance, determination, they can see the perfect end result.
Yeah.
They can establish their state of being and be intentional about that. Well, the same goes true for the helplessness, right? It's just the duality of it all. It's the law of polarity. So
I think one of the things that leads to that too is the fear, right? We talk about inaction. We talk about analysis paralysis. We talk about not having that consistency that we need to have in terms of actions, not just thoughts, but actions as well. And I think what happens is that those sort little things that we don't do, that we feel like we should be doing, start adding up.
oh yeah,
They
100%.
start adding up. They start adding up, and the next thing you know, you have this heaviness of I should have done that, but I didn't do it, and then it becomes a habit, and then next thing you know, like it becomes this big weight on top of us that, and I'll speak for myself on this, right? Because, like, for example, I procrastinated on things that the only reason I procrastinated on things in the past is because I felt that I didn't have the capacity to do them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never been like a laziness thing for me. It's been, no, I don't know enough. I'm not good enough for that thing. I'm not, capable of doing it, or whatever. So I push it. I kick it, kick the can down the road.
Yeah.
Per se. But what happens
You're
every
the
time?
only one.
Yeah, yeah. I think I am the only one in this world that does it. So what happens when you kick the can? Those little benchmarks or incidents, right? Where you're, I'll do it tomorrow. They become engrams in our own thought process. They become, you know, little senses of failures, like because we're failing ourselves, right?
Absolutely.
What is confidence? Confidence is the ability to keep your own word to yourself. So when we don't keep our own word to ourselves, we're losing that sense of confidence, and we're adopting learned helplessness.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think a lot of people are afraid to move into action
Yeah.
because they're afraid that they're going to fail. And what they mean by that is they're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
It's like, well, duh. Obviously, you're going to make mistakes when you're moving towards something you've never experienced before, you've never done before. Of course, you don't know what you don't know, right? You're unconscious of your incompetence.
Yeah.
But I believe that failure is not the cause of unmanifested dreams. It's the self-imposed limitations. It's that self-doubt that's the biggest killer of dreams over failure. People are so afraid to make mistakes they don't get into action. But that's a belief that I'm going to make mistakes. I'm not enough. I'm not capable. I'm not worthy. I'm not deserving. I'm not fill in the blank. Whatever it is, that self-imposed limitation is what's driving the behavior. And even if the behavior is avoidance or deflection, as we like to call procrastination.
Absolutely. One thing that I wanna highlight here is that even if we're not getting into action, we're still making a choice.
Absolutely.
And that choice, it's connecting neurons inside your brain, right? If you're thinking about, I don't know, starting a business or, jumping into entrepreneurship or taking, a chance on something that you're not, proficient yet at, right? Taking a risk. Just let's put it that way, taking a risk. And you keep pushing it back and you procrastinate. That's a choice. Even though it looks like you're not doing anything, you are doing something. Yeah. At a psychological level, you're wiring yourself.
100%.
Yeah, to tell yourself that you're failing, right? To tell yourself that you're not holding your word, to yourself. I was going to go to the gym, but I didn't go. I'll go tomorrow. Yeah. Okay, that little action right there just planted a seed of helplessness.
Well, 100%.
In
Because
your brain.
when you have that thought of, okay, I'm going to go do X to move my life forward, to improve me, and then I choose not to. Like, that took thought and emotions, yes.
Right.
And the saying goes, neurons that fire together, which produce a thought, end up wiring together.
Yeah.
And the more that you consistently fire those neurons, pretty soon, the brain's an intelligent organism. It's going to take a look at that and go, we have to take energy to have that same thought over and over again. And we notice that it's happening a lot. So let's conserve energy and just make that a neurological hardware pathway in the brain so that the mind doesn't have to take a lot of energy to keep reproducing it.
Right.
And it's now in habit, right? You don't even have to think about it. It just happens.
Yeah.
And pretty soon you go through your life, and it doesn't matter if it's your health, with your finances, with your business, with your relationships. How you do one thing is how you do all things.
Yeah.
So
one thing that it does or that happens too is as we start, adding these moments of non-action, right? And that helplessness, that feeling of helplessness, and I'm using the word helplessness. I don't know if it's a correct one, right? But the idea is that we learn to just like we learn to succeed, like we learn to appreciate our wins as we're going through that process. The opposite side of that, where we're not taking action, we're not taking that risk or pushing our lives forward, and we want to. We are learning helplessness. We are learning how to fail in that sense, right?
Sure,
just simply by the fact that you're sitting there and you're not being proactive about things.
yeah, well, and I believe that inaction by not taking action.
Yeah.
My definition of failure, that's it right there. It's not even getting started.
Yeah.
That would be that, and the inaction. Or you got started, but you threw in the towel and just quit.
Yeah.
Those, for me, my definition when someone says failure, to me, that's what failure is. If you're moving forward and you hit an obstacle that you're not sure how to overcome or get around, and you figure it out and you move forward, like any mistake you make is just a learning opportunity. And if you're starting something new, what makes you think that you're going to end up with the desired end result without any mistakes? Like, that's weird. Right? So mistakes are a necessary part of learning. Think about it. When you went to school and pick any topic you want, algebra, social studies, biology, chemistry, like you made mistakes on quizzes and tests and all of that until you got proficient, right? It's the same with sport. It's a conditioned response, but that's because of repetition. And to think that you're not going to make any mistakes in that process is just delusional. So mistakes are good. I like making mistakes. Now, don't misunderstand me. It's not like I show up to my business and I'm like, I wonder what mistake I get to make
Let's
today.
see how I can fuck this up today.
Yeah. Let me see who I can piss off or, fuck up this process.
Yeah.
However, I just know that it's an inevitable part of the equation.
Yeah.
And so what I mean by that is I've reframed my relationship to when I realize I've made a mistake, that was the wrong approach, whatever the case is, like, cool. Now I just learned because I'm not going to do that shit again. And let me think about what would be more productive. So I'm growing. And again, we're talking about the duality of it all, the law of polarity. Like, you can realize you're going to make mistakes, you're going to fuck up, and you can keep moving forward. So just monitor, become mindful of those self-imposed limitations that keeps you from taking action. A lot of people suffer from ambivalence. It's that ping-ponging back and forth of, well, should I do it or should I not do it? Should I start that business or should I not? Right? And it's like that they're not deciding, which is a decision.
Yeah.
I've decided not to decide.
Yeah.
I'm staying in that state of ambivalence. Yeah.
Interesting paradox.
Yeah. And the more people focus on that, the more it becomes this ominous like weight and cloud on them. And they keep what they really desire kind of hidden in the fog. Because if I was able to see it clearly and I got certain about it, now I'd have to be responsible to do something with it. And I'm not willing to move forward. I'm not confident yet because I think I need X, Y, and Z before I can make that decision. So I'm just going to keep it all in the fog to not have to take responsibility for going after it. So...
you coach a lot of people too. So you probably, I'm sure you see it. But we start to create this big... self-image, and based on the results that we get or the results that we don't get, right? I speak for myself on this again, but I also see it on a lot of students. So it's like, oh, I'm bad at this, I'm bad at that, and really what's happening is that it's not the action that's dictating that self-image, is the actions that we're not taking. And this the principle of classical conditioning in psychology is learning from your environment, right? It's you start to see the world through learned or adopted behaviors that are just around you, right? Including yourself, including your own, as you go through situations in life and whatnot, right? So you start to have this conditioning about how to see life, how to see things. The crazy thing is that the most impactful stuff that happens at a psychological level really comes down to us, right? What we do, not necessarily what we're learning from TV, what we're learning from, social media or friends, is really what we do with that information, and we adopt. If you don't, you can have all this noise around you, but if you don't adopt any of it, you're gonna be okay, right? However, if you're adopting stuff left and right, you're learning everything that's around you, right? Yeah. I don't know, and let me know if I'm making sense here, but but it's you're learning that people there have, for example, social media. People have highlights, right? Oh my God, these people are, they're in a yacht and they're like taking vacations every other month, and I suck because the last time I took a vacation was in 2016 and I went to Disneyland. But
I'm inferior.
Exactly, you're labeling your results, right? And what happens is that you start learning about the self-image that you have, and you create this picture that tends to be a fallacy, just based on little nuggets of self-talk, little instances where you were supposed to take action and you didn't take action. Now you start to see yourself subconsciously as this person that is not an action taker, as this person that's gonna kick the can down the road, and those results, they're great, but they're not for me because I don't have what it takes. I don't have I'm not that smart. I don't have the tenacity. I don't have but what's not there is the element of action, and so not making the choice to not take action means that you're taking the choice of learn helplessness. You're learning to be
Just consistently reinforcing
yeah.
that. And I love what you said
To
about,
coast.
it
Yeah.
requires that action, because you got to implement what you know. Like, listen, we're in the information age. Like, any information you want to know, you can find.
Yeah.
You can Google it. You can YouTube a video on how to do it. Like, there's so much information out there. And so when someone says to me, well, I don't know how, it's like, really? You don't know how to lose weight. You don't know how to save money. You don't know how to invest. You don't know how to be a better communicator in your relationships.
Yeah.
You don't know how to do these things? Of course you do. The question really comes down to do you have the desire to
Right.
grow? Do you have the desire to get into action and have a new experience where you realized, oh, I made a mistake? But of course I made a mistake. I just went into new action to have a new experience. And now, in retrospect, I get to connect the dots looking back and learn even more, right? So it's that unwillingness to move forward because I'm afraid that I'm insufficient and I'm going to fail, meaning make a mistake, and I don't want to experience that pain and more beat up because I'm already beating the shit out of myself.
Yeah.
Why do I want to create more evidence of how much I suck, right? Like, that's in the back of people's mind what's really running. But my question to you, if that's how you operate, is why are you listening? Like,
Yeah.
it's just a story. You created that story, which I think is really exciting, because if you created that pile of shit of a story, you could create any other story to shift to in the moment when you notice that old story coming up. Oop, there's my pattern. Oh yeah, I'm switching to this. This is my intention of who I desire to be. I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to have a new experience so I can grow, so I can learn, so I can improve me. Like, if you want bigger, better results, you got to become bigger and better.
Yeah.
Period. So we're in the age where it's not enough to know what to do, but to actually go then and do it. And you just got to pay attention to, what are the thoughts I have around myself, my self-image, and who I think I'm not? And what are the corresponding, like, emotions that you feel? What is that energy that you feel when you think those thoughts that paralyze you, that put you in a state of fear in such a way that you don't want to move forward? And just notice, these are my conditions, responses, and is this working to get me what I want? No. Okay. So no judgment on self. No, see, there I go again. I'm a piece of shit. No. Get the energy off of it, because if you have energy towards yourself that's negative and in resistance to you, well, what you resist persists, because it becomes the object of your consciousness. It captures your attention. So you feed it more energy, and it just perpetuates. Instead, what if you shift? What if you change the script?
I think one of the things that holds most people back is the fact that it's new and it's risky, right? Anything that's not in your previous context, in your history, and you haven't been exposed to in the past, it's new. And by definition, it's going to be associated with risk, because you just don't know what it is.
But think about this. Okay, when you go on vacation, some people go on vacations a lot.
Yeah.
Do you go to the same damn destination every single time? Or do you go check out new places? It's an adventure. You're excited for what's to come. You don't know what's going to unfold. Like, that's the zest of life, man.
Yeah.
That's what keeps
Salt
it.
and pepper, homie.
Yeah, man. Variety, you know, it's the spice of life. And so, when was it that as a collective, as a culture, that we stopped being adventurous, that we stopped seeking putting ourselves in new environments, new experiences, so that we feel alive, so that you feel present, you're paying attention, like all your senses are alive, you're actually there in the moment, instead of just, oh, normal, predictable, I'm just going through the motions. Like, that to me is a state of decay. So you're either growing or you're decaying. There's no stable.
One thing, and I was looking at stats here, and I don't know if this is the tangent, but I was looking at stats on entrepreneurship and business, and how that interest has been just, increasing over the last, several months, because the concept of chaos has been introduced, right, at a national level. Like, we're going through a lot of stuff as a society.
Aren't we always?
Well, yeah, but now it's more publicized. All right, and then we see some crazy stuff. For example, the Fed adjusting rates, and I mean, you look at everything that's going on, right? They're canceling just everybody and their mom, and I don't know. It's a lot of uncertainty out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the concept or the idea of chaos forces people to think outside the box. And now you have, this is a spike. So we're seeing a spike in entrepreneurship and an interest in entrepreneurship in general. Like people looking at how to start different businesses. People tapping
in the
into,
midst of the chaos.
yeah, in the midst of the chaos,
Beautiful.
because now it's creating, what's happening is that we're having, not necessarily living in the pain yet, but it's being introduced, right? Because of the chaos. People start thinking like, oh shit, I mean, the industry that I'm in, I mean, there's robots for that stuff now.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna lose my job. I gotta, you know, figure something else out. So it's a general mind shift, you know, at a societal level that's happening towards more self-sufficiency, because we're seeing that that concept of chaos and pain being introduced, you know, as a whole.
So it's like a motivator.
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting to see, right? Like it's not until somebody feels, you know, uncomfortable that the idea of taking action becomes reachable. It becomes like, okay, now it's something that I must do.
Yeah.
What if we switch that paradigm and, like you said earlier, you just reframed your entire process or you know, a mechanism of operating and you know, going about things to, I don't have to feel pain. I don't have to feel like I'm uncomfortable to take some action, to push and thrive and get something, you know, done and really, you know, strive for my dreams. What if we were just reframing that one little thing, that one little you know, thought, the way we think about things, and just pursued it?
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
so basically, what I heard you say was more people are taking ownership and responsibility for their futures from making that transition from employee to self-employed entrepreneurship. And sounds like the sentiment is the driving force behind that is desperation.
It is.
You know, and that's fine. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And so there are two ways to create. There's two ways to invest your energy. To move away from what you don't want, desperation. If I don't, something bad's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Or the other, the duality of it, inspiration.
Yeah.
Volunteer. Because what adventure
From
can
a
I
creative
create?
mind, yeah.
Yeah, like, and I mean, which energy do you think would be more attractive,
Yeah.
more receptive, more allowing, more excited, more joyful? Desperation or inspiration? You know, so, however, you know, a lot of people have to wait until they get desperate. You know, people finally go on a diet and change life habits because they just got diagnosed with diabetes or cancer or whatever. It's like, well, now I have to change. And that's fine. Like, you can wait for desperation. But my question really that I have for people that operate only through desperation is, if you realize that, hey, things have gotten so bad or they're going to get really bad if I don't shift, so now I have to, don't you realize that that means you can shift?
Yeah.
And if you can shift, why are you waiting for it to get so bad?
Yeah.
Why not just do it on your own terms? Because you said so.
It's important to break through that learned helplessness, and I want to clarify what that term means, at least, you know, to me. I'm thinking of a story, right? There's this elephant. It's born in a circus, and from the time that he's born, they put a rope around his leg and then tie it to a stub, right?
Chain.
Yeah.
Heavy chain.
Yeah, heavy chain. Then tie it to a stub, and then, you know, tries to get away, can't get away, and then keeps growing, getting bigger and bigger, and it's still chained up, and then tries to get away, can't get away, and then, you know, months and years go by like that, right? And he's still performing the circus, doing his thing. Like, he understands this little circus world, and then he understands being tied into this stuff. He understands that every time he's got a chain in his leg, like he can't, or you know, that thing attached to his leg, he can't move, right? Mm-hmm. This is conditioning that elephant. This is crazy because that's how we operate as a human race. We get conditioned by our surroundings. So this is conditioning that elephant. Keeps growing, right? And then eventually stops struggling to get out of those chains. Eventually, like, just understands that now I have something on my leg. It's there. I'm not gonna be able to do anything. Yeah. I've tried it and tried it and tried it, and I had, you know, every time I pulled on that thing and I wasn't able to, this idea of failure was planted in my head, and learned helplessness started to get introduced.
Conditioned response.
Yeah, yep. Exactly. Classical conditioning, right? So it keeps happening. Next thing you know, they realize that they don't even need, the chains. You know
No.
what? We'll just do a rope around his leg. And it's an elephant, bro. Like
Yeah.
these things are huge and they're strong.
Yeah.
It's a rope around his leg. We'll just do the rope and the stub because we don't have a chain today. And the elephant understands that he's got a grip on that leg anyways, right? So he's not even trying to pull away from that because of learned helplessness.
There's something there, and
Yeah.
in the past,
Yeah.
it's kept me from doing what I want, moving forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Next thing, they realize, well, shit, I mean, he's not going anywhere. I mean, we don't even need a stub. Why go through the pains and, hassles of digging in this big hole and then,
Yeah.
putting this thing on the ground to tie the elephant down? We don't need it. We just do the rope.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
And that's exactly how we operate as human beings, man. Now this part is not in the story, but I started thinking, well, I wonder, what if the damn circus caught in fire, right? And now you have desperation. Now you have fire, you have life and death, and you have threats, for life for the elephant. Like, wouldn't that elephant give zero fucks about that one rope and then just haul ass?
Maybe. But
Hopefully it wouldn't stay there and die, right?
Yeah,
But it would definitely be an incentive to take action. Now, it's the same thing that happens as human beings. And sorry, I want to finish that thought process, but it's the same thing that happens as human beings, right? Like, we condition ourselves to, okay, you know what? I'm only capable to work on this 9 to 5. I don't have these talents. Or no, every time I try to start a new business, I fail. And you're putting that chain around your fucking leg by yourself.
Yeah.
Nobody else is doing it for you. Every time I try to, I don't know, it's the funding, it's the politics, it's the whatevers, right? Now you have that thing. And yeah, at first it may be the chain attached to that stub, right? There may be things on there. But as you go through life, you're gonna have opportunities that you're not gonna capitalize on because you have that learned helplessness.
Yes.
So it's important to have that awareness and think about, okay, cool, where did I not take a shot because of past history, because of fallacies and failures that I had in the past that conditioned me to not take action right now?
100%. And so the exciting news is it's a conditioned response,
Yeah.
which means you can condition anything.
Yeah.
Like the mind is, it doesn't care what you plant in it.
Yeah.
It'll reap whatever you plant. And so, it goes back to like Pavlov's dogs. Yeah, that's classic conditioning, right? So dogs are hungry. He rings a bell,
Yeah.
gives them food. Rings a bell, gives them food, and does this over and over and over and over again. And pretty soon it rings the bell, and the dogs start salivating, right? Because they think they correlate the ringing of the bell to food. Yes. So same thing with the elephant. Heavy chain. It's a small elephant. There's no way it's busting through that. But over time, they can put a little tiny rope around its ankle. It's going nowhere.
Yeah.
Right. And so, same thing. These are self-imposed limitations, just because we've conditioned ourselves. There's a stimulus and a response. Stimulus, response. Those neurons fire together, wire together, right? So that's really great news, because that means then if you have self-imposed limitations that stop you, that cause you to not move forward, that means then you can program anything else. So what's your strategy? What's your process for that? I mean, your self-image drives all behavior.
Yeah.
And so my process was gratitude, visualization, every damn day, twice a day when I first started, because I was so desperate for change.
Yeah.
I didn't need to. Life was good, actually. But it wasn't, as far as exterior results,
Yeah.
but I wasn't good in here.
Yeah,
And
we
so-
always hit a point where change must happen. It's almost like a click, man. I remember vividly, like the first time I had a click like that, and it's like, shit, I can't believe I haven't done this in the past. Like, how have I been, okay with mediocre results? How have I been okay with half-assing things? Not really being fully committed. I just didn't know I could fully commit, and I could, level up that much faster. And I was okay with that. Like it's.
Well, if you've never had an experience of anything outside of that,
Yeah.
How would you be that aware of it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
But you were telling me a story about the words in the room. They divided it.
The what?
Last week you told me about they did a study. They took this room of people, divide them, give them those two lists.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I thought we broke. Didn't we talk about that in the last
No,
one?
we were going to this episode.
Ah, okay. So they there was a study of learned. This is also learned. I mean, another example of learned helplessness. So they had a room, right? They had say 30 people in that room. They divided them 15 and 15. And the mediator goes and gives everybody a piece of paper, and it's got what do you call when you have to rearrange letters into different words? Anagrams.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about, but yeah.
Those.
Yeah.
So hey, I'm the one that doesn't speak English, right? You're supposed to know all these things.
Look
So
like a fucking thesaurus over
like,
here.
one fucking job. But so they had words in there, and they had to just there were anagrams. They had to rearrange the words, right? So they give them 3 words. Half of the room has one list. They didn't know this. They all thought they had the same list.
Yeah.
Half the room had one list. The other half had a different list. So they give them, I don't know, like 10, 15 seconds to rearrange the first one. It's like a 3-letter word, right? So it's nothing complicated. And I mean, guys, go ahead. So the first half of the room, I mean, naturally, because it was a stupid, easy word, they were able to do it. And it was like, yeah, but raise their hand. So they had to raise their hands, right?
When they solve it, raise their hand.
Yeah, when they solved it, raise their hand. Then the other half, they had an unsolvable word. It was a different word. It was unsolvable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just totally mindfucking.
Random
them.
letters.
and people were, and they were not, exactly, split in half because that would be obvious, but they were like scattered, right? But 15 had one, then 15 had the other one. And some people started raising their hands, and then the other people were like, what the fuck? I can't figure this out. Like, how come, they're done so fast?
Yeah.
And I'm still struggling, right?
They must be smart. I must be stupid.
Yeah, exactly. So and you could see like the face of distress like in some of these people, right?
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, next one. It's just make a note of it and whatnot. And like some people were scratching their heads, like how come they did it so fast? And like I can't.
And a lot of them.
Second one rolls around, same thing, right? Super easy word. It was a little longer. I think it was like 5 letters or something like that. And then so naturally, the first 15, same group. First 15, a bunch of people raise their hands like within 3-4 seconds, and then time runs out. Like nobody on the other side was got it right
They didn't solve the unsolvable equation. Yeah.
It was a second unsolvable word. Excuse my Spanish.
Spanglish.
My Spanglish. Word. Sorry. So. And they were just like, you could see the frustration. And these were like smart individuals, like
frustrated,
academic,
confused.
Yeah, exactly. And they were thinking like, how the fuck do these people on this side, like it's 2-0. Like I'm goose egg over here. Like I'm not, scoring anything. And the stress level, I mean, you could see it on the faces and whatnot. And then the third one comes. The third word, they all had, a similar word. So they had the same word in both. It was solvable.
Oh.
Yeah. So the interesting thing is that the first group of the 15, came in, then solved it right up, right? Boom, boom, boom. So they had, stellar results.
They had built confidence.
Yeah, they built confidence over the previous 2, and this is happening over, a period of, I don't know, call it 5 minutes or something. So it's conditioning happening like right there and then, right? Then the other group. I think about 78% of the people in there didn't even try to solve the problem. They're like,
wow.
Fuck this.
Yeah, just give up.
Yeah,
Quit.
exactly. So it was the same word, and you're talking about a same level of intellect when it comes to the class that they were in and whatnot. So everything was relatively the same. The only difference was the first 2 attempts were unsolvable for that one group. Right. The third one is like, I'm just gonna sit here and die. Pretty much, for most of them. And a couple of them did solve it and whatnot, but the percentage was super slow or low compared to the other group. And again, it's learned helplessness. Yeah. It's so easy to fall into that trap. It's so easy to start doubting ourselves and create this stupid image of the ability that we have as individuals, of the ability that we have as creators. And I'm not talking like social media creators. I'm talking like world creators, right? The ability to create the life that we want to, strive for, and pursue our dreams, man. Like it's easy to get bogged down with stupid notions that are not real.
Yeah, it takes no effort.
Learned helplessness is a scary fucking thing because it will lie to you. You will lie to yourself based on something that's not true.
100%. Well, I think the skill of all skills, especially for entrepreneurs, but human beings in general is the ability to be self-aware, to notice what you notice about yourself, to notice your own patterns, your habitual themes, and to take inventory of like, okay, this way that I think and I feel about myself, about the world, my environment, my conditions, my circumstances, is it working?
Yeah.
Is my story working to get me what I want? And very simply, all I have to do is look at my results.
Yeah.
Are they what I really desire? No. Great. Okay, so let me, instead of shaming myself, right, and feeling guilt and all of these negative emotions that keep me further from getting into action, why don't I forgive myself for operating that way? Because I just realized I didn't know what I didn't know, but now I do know. And now that I'm aware, I have choice. And what if I chose something different? And I just practice it, stimulus response, and reconditioned my mind. Who could I be?
Yeah.
What would I do? What could I have? It's like, everybody's capable of this.
Yeah.
The question is, what are you doing with it? Because now we know, but again, knowing's not enough.
Yeah.
It's getting into action with it, integrating it, implementing it, having new experiences.
And this is going to be a side note, but if you're wondering what your priorities are, look at your bank account.
Yeah, well, look where you spend your time.
Look at. Well, I mean, I think the bank account is the fastest. I'm not talking about the numbers. I'm not talking about how big it is. I'm talking about where are you spending the money that you earn. Okay, look at your bank account. If your priorities are going to be lined up based on where you park your cookies per se, right? But if you're not spending, for example, money in business development, in marketing, and personal growth, and you see a bunch of bar fees and stuff on the bank account, like that's going to tell you what your real priorities are. Like your bank account and the stuff in there is not going to lie to you, right?
Well, if you're willing to look at it, right? Like some people know they're overweight, and because of that, they feel too much shame or embarrassment to even step on the scale, right? You got to look at the result and be willing to just accept it. This is what is.
That's what I like going to that one thing. It's an itemized breakdown of our priorities. It's really, if you look at the statement, and when, I mean, I can't remember, but somebody told me this a long time ago or a while back, and it just hit me. It's like, holy shit. Okay. And when I go back and work my numbers on a monthly basis, okay, what did I prioritize this month? Anyways, that's a tangent, right? But it really speaks to where we try to get the fruits from our labor without labor.
Yeah. Well, and if you take a look at your health, right? And maybe you're not overweight. However, you have no energy, no vitality. Like same thing with financially, looking at the bank account. Yeah. Why don't you go look in your pantry and look in your fridge and look what kind of food is in there? Do you know what I mean? It's the same thing. Yeah. Like pay attention on what you go unconscious to. You go to the store and you just buy the same old shit every single time. Great. You open the pantry, there's fucking Oreos and Cheez-Its and shit processed food, refined carbohydrates.
No fiber.
And, you know what I mean? Like open up your fridge. Do you see any fruits and vegetables in there? You know, like, so same thing. It's a result. Yeah. And the best news of all is that you can decide to shift that, change it any moment you desire.
You can reframe.
So again, you can wait until you're desperate to where now I have to change or else.
The circus is burning.
Yeah. Or you can just volunteer. You can initiate it on your own.
Because you can realize that you're a big ass elephant that can walk away from that rope.
And some people think like, well, I don't know where to start and it seems too big and daunting. Like, how do I completely shift my life with this? And it's like, what if you just get started? Yeah. Like the low hanging fruit. What's some of the obvious, easy things that you can start adjusting now and just slowly start making progress? Yeah. Because if you start making progress, you'll pick up momentum. That walk will turn into a light jog and then pretty soon a fast stride. You know what I mean? Like, it just starts evolving. Yeah. But you've got to decide to take action, start small, set short-term targets, and hit those. Yeah. Hit them. Because that's
stack
where
up your wins.
Yeah, that's where the momentum comes. That's where the confidence comes. 100%. That's where the elevated awareness comes from. Yeah. And then you'll start taking on bigger and bigger things effortlessly. Yeah.
I love it, man. Ask yourself the question, where are you being stopped by learned helplessness? And this is a fallacy of your capabilities. Learned helplessness is a thing that will lie to you. It's an idea that you've created based on past experiences, based on past conditioning, and it's creating this self-image, right, that you have on the stuff that you can achieve, on the stuff that you can even pursue, on the conversations that you can have, on the confidence that you can have. So ask yourself, where is in what areas of your life have you learned helplessness take over, and reframe it. We have the ability to reframe all these things. Justin, where can somebody get a hold of you?
JustinThorstad.com or my cell phone, 602-348-8534.
Bro, we're going to be famous one day, and you're going to have to switch numbers.
We're going to have to delete these YouTube videos.
All right, so fam, I hope you like the Mindset Monday series. I love them. I'm gonna keep doing. Even if people don't like them, I'm still gonna. I love them.
Yeah. Let's do it for us.
So it's a two-way conversation. It's a two-way conversation. I know my mom is listening right now, but it's a two-way conversation. If there's something that you want to talk about, if there are questions that you guys have, if there's things that just kind of perk up your ears as we're going through these mindset talks, let us know. It's a two-way thing, all right? And we're adamant about that kind of stuff. Let's engage. Make sure that you subscribe, like, and share. The Rafael Cortez CEO and in social media, and the CEO Pulse podcast on iTunes and everywhere else. Stay focused. You got this. Boom.